We now have our March update of our Gallup Job Creation Index, and there is some interesting data indeed. Remember, our JCI, Job Creation Index, is computed by asking all workers that we interview whether their place of employment is hiring workers, adding to the workforce, or firing people and letting people go. And then we net out the two, and that's our Job Creation Index. The good news is that overall for all Americans, the index is at plus 12 for March. That's the same as where it was in February, but continues to be positive. Look back at April of last year when the overall index was plus 5. So clearly we're in a more positive position than we have been. And there were times previous to last year when that Job Creation Index was down into negative territory. So we're looking somewhat better overall. What's very interesting to look at is this dramatic trend among federal government workers. We isolated just people that we interviewed in March, in fact we do it every month, who say they work for the federal government, and look at their responses to what's happening at their place of work, and look at the change here. The federal government job creation is now at -9. That's a big drop from last month where it was plus 1, but go back to April of last year when it was at plus 18. In other words, a year ago, the federal government was looking as a positive, robust place for employees to be working, hiring, not firing. And now, just a year later, it looks much, much different. The federal and government employment picture, as reported by federal government workers, is much more negative than that for all workers in the country. By the way, we also isolated state government workers, and their picture is still pretty negative, but not as negative as last year. The index for March for state government workers is at -13. That is more layoffs than hiring at state governments around the country, but that was at -28 back in April of 2010. For local government workers, -14, and again back in April of last year, that was at -26. So some modest improvements for people who work for the state and local governments. That's an update on our Gallup Job Creation Index. I'm Dr. Frank Newport, Gallup's Editor-in-Chief.